Let's go ahead now and start to animate our scene by first positioning the box into the sky. So I'm going to go ahead and take the protection tag away from my hero camera by simply dragging it to something else. And it could be anything else. And that just gives us the ability to move freely in our scene. So the animation is going to start off by the box coming down and then bouncing a couple times onto the snow. So let's go ahead and set that up by going to the start of our animation. And I'm thinking about also using a target camera for this. So later on, we're going to add a target camera that will follow the motion of this box from the sky to the snow. So that'll add a little bit more dynamics to the entire scene. So for now, I'm going to go to the gum box, and on its coordinates for position, I'm going to add a keyframe. And it is on frame 0. Now this is only going to be about a 15-second spot. Once again, it's one of those little bumpers that you'll see in between shows. So at about maybe frame, let's say 10, or maybe even 8, it already hits the ground. So let's go ahead and take the box and put it on the snow and kind of deep in there so it could bounce out a little bit. And let's add a keyframe. Do a quick scrub, make sure we have it. So what I want to do now is on frame 9, and this is going to be very, very quick, but the eye will catch it. I want the box to rise up just a little bit. And let's go ahead and keyframe that. And one more frame over, frame 10, the box will then sink in and settle where it's supposed to be. Let's go ahead and keyframe that. So if we were to scrub this, we'd see that the box would slam down and do a little bit of a bounce. And we're going to supplement this by adding a deformer on this guy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the very first frame. I'm going to go up here and we're going to add a squash and stretch deformer. But before we do that, there's something very important that I want to show you. So I'm going to create a brand new file real fast just to remind you that when we have a shape like this, I'll go ahead and turn it into an editable mesh, and it doesn't have a lot of subdivision. If we try to deform it, let me go ahead and make sure this fits on it. I'll also put a box on it like so. If we try to deform it by using the factor here, you're not going to get a lot of animation, all right? Because it doesn't have a lot of stuff to squash and stretch. So we have to split this box up a little bit. And we're going to have to do the same thing on our actual gum. So let me go to the scene again. And let me show you what to do when you need to subdivide something that doesn't have enough subdivision. So if we go to the gum box, you see that we only have divisions where the bevels are. So we're going to go to the mesh menu, commands, and we're going to go to subdivide. And then click this little gear right here. It's going to give us some options. I'm going to enter a value of 3 as an experiment. And now the box has some nice subdivisions, which will, of course, deform properly when we apply the deformer to it. Now keep that in mind at all times. When you're not getting the subdivision in your models, you can always add it later on. All right. So what I'm going to do is, once again, we're going to add a deformer, squash and stretch. We're going to drag it until it is a child of the gum box. And on the deformer, I'm going to go to fall off, and I'm going to leave it on infinite. But I'm also going to make sure that it actually fits to the parent. And we can then go ahead and use the factor. And there we go. We can squash and stretch it. Now that would not work at all if we didn't subdivide this. All right, so in the next lesson, we're going to go ahead and finish this part where the box is going to stretch as it comes down to the ground. It's going to bounce a little bit and then come back to its full volume. All right, so please save your work and we will continue in the next lesson.